Minor league cricket starts this Saturday, and I'm sure everyone is thrilled for the season to start. Welcome to the first DC Hawks pre-match show. I'm Roshni, and before every weekend, I'll be joined by experts to kind of give you a preview of what this weekend could look like. I'm joined with two experts who are also outstanding cricketers from the DMV area. They're an active part of the cricket community and perform at the highest level of the Washington Cricket League. Let me welcome our guests, Rikin, Parikh, and Kaushal Raman. So I know DC Hawks, have their first games this Saturday. They have two matches back to back. But before we talk about this weekend, I kind of want to talk about your opinion on this minor league cricket. We've been hearing about this for the past few years, a league being started in America, and it's finally happening. To start off with, Kaushal, why don't you give us your take on the minor league?
Oh, it's very, very exciting. Very much looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of cricket fans throughout the US are looking forward to it as well. Last year, there was a lot of interest, but due to COVID, we played, there were a few exhibition games, but still there was a lot of interest. But with this year, there is a lot of renowned interest. Also, with the fact that most of these games are going to be telecast live on Willow, there's a lot of interest. I mean, my son plays cricket. He's also interested. He was asking me how many games are going to be telecasted live. I'm sure there are so many fans just like that who are very, very much looking forward to watching not only the other teams, but also, there are so many players whom we play with. It'll be exciting to see them on TV, just play, and definitely opens up a lot of good avenues for them. Good performances will definitely get noticed now, and will be a stepping stone for their success.
Absolutely. And Rikin?
Yeah, I think as Kaushal bhai said, it's exciting times for US cricket. I mean, this opens up doors for a lot of youngsters. Now they have a pathway to get how to get into that US team. It seems that this minor league thing has now given fair chances, fair opportunities to all the youngsters to get noticed, and also an opportunity to play alongside all these stalwarts of cricket, right? A lot of international players will be participating. So there's a great learning opportunity for all the cricketers in US.
Yeah, and with this minor league, every single match is going to be telecasted. It's not selective, every single match is. So I think, that's something that's a really big stepping stone, because we haven't really had, something like that where every single match is telecasted. And I think this will give players, a lot of boost, because, their matches will be accessible. I'm sure a lot of the team selectors, for USA Cricket will be watching this, as versus, we've seen even players now starting to make into the draft of the other leagues. So I think it's definitely that pathway for just USA Cricket and even beyond there. Which is definitely going to help, make cricket become that career path, which it hasn't been. And I'm sure, you guys have been playing cricket for such a long time. I think in the past, people who wanted to, play cricket as a profession, it was really, really tough to do. It was always kind of that weekend thing, that passionate thing, just something on the side. But I think this will definitely help change all of that. Now, when we look at the ownership, right, of DC Hawks, Mr. Rajat Basi has taken the ownership of the team. And I'm sure, a lot of people in the DMV area probably wanted to have a team, and he's the one who, fortunately has the team. And we can also see his success, right, with the Potomac team in WCL. I mean, they've been so successful. They've won so many of the tournaments. They're always, the key favorites as well. So what do you guys think about, the way he's taken on this ownership, the way he's picked his players, especially from that, crop of the DMV talent? So, Rikin, if you want to start off.
I personally think, especially in this area, I think minor league wouldn't have done a better job other than having Rajat Bhai given him this opportunity, because I think his management skills when it comes to cricket are too good. I mean, his past records in WCL, I mean, he has won, I think, previous 5 championships that we have played here in Premier Division. So that speaks a volume of his management skills when it comes to his players. Also, what I've noticed since the minor league has started, the way that he has approached players or picked players, it has been very fair to all the players. There are no complaints. The players that are not getting picked, I haven't heard any complaints from them. So that tells me that he has this process which is very fair and square, and he's picking the players based on performances rather than favoritism. So that's a good thing. And I think Rajat Bhai, I personally think that Rajat Bhai is the best person in DMV area to to have this first minor league team. So I think they did a good job in picking Rajat Pai to give that team.
And Kaushal, if you want to add.
Yeah, I fully agree with Rikin's sentiments here. I actually known Rajat Bhai for more than like 15, 16 years. He's always come across as a person who's very measured and has a very good head on his shoulders. And he's been a cricketer himself, so he brings that good expertise, and he obviously owns a big company. He knows how to manage people and all their egos very well. So he brings this good mixture of good management skills plus somebody who also understands and knows cricket. And the success he's had in the last 5-6 years is a testimony to the fact that he knows what to do. I'm sure he's looking at a big long-term vision also of where to take the minor league team to, including some home fields. I'm sure he's looking at all that. Home fields will obviously give a great advantage to all the players here in terms of training during the off season or also during the course of the season, depending on the pitches they have to play in. So pretty chuffed about that. And I agree with Rikin's point again in terms of fairness. He comes across as somebody, and based on the judgment calls he's been making, comes across as somebody who's going to give a fair chance to players who deserve it. That's what matters at the end of the day. People who play cricket here know that if they perform well, they will get a fair shot at playing on the team. And then success and failure after that is based on their own abilities and how they perform.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, as both of you guys mentioned, right, like the talent that has been picked from the DMV area, you can see kind of why, based off the performances they've had in WCL and other tournaments as well. So now considering the talent, right, that's been picked, obviously for minor league, but we have to remember, right, this is just the first season, this is just the stepping point. There's so much there's so much to look forward to in the long term. But how do you think this is going to affect one, the talent, the cricket that's going to be happening in the DMV area? Because now players know that, okay, we have a minor league here, we want to also get a chance. Their player performances, their dedication will also change. So how do you think cricket in the DMV area is going to change? Rikin?
As I said previously, it's exciting times. Now players actually know what they need to do the path to move ahead in that ladder to get to that US team. Now there is a pathway for them. So I think players who want to play or go to that next level, they would actually practice harder. They'll work on their fitnesses and everything else that goes around cricket, right? They will be much more dedicated to their cricket than before, where it was just recreational purposes. And even if a player wanted to play to the next level, they didn't know what to do. Now there is a simple forged plan for them. So I think the cricket level has already increased, which I've seen in WCL, and it's gonna keep on increasing from now onwards, I think.
Mm-hmm. Kaushal?
Hey, you get to be on TV, so what more what more do you want? But yeah, that was on a lighter note. But there is a pathway now. You know that if you perform well in the minor league against some of the best quality sides, then there are going to be selectors who are looking at you, and it's going to be that's what takes you to the next level. Then it's for everybody else to see also. Your performances come in focus, just like how cricket is played everywhere else. So that plays a big role in preparing the mindset of a player. So from a local league now to minor league, and then to greener pastures beyond after that. So it's very good that way.
Yep. Okay, so now let's actually get into the action. We have 2 games coming in this Saturday, both at the Max Stadium. So why don't we, before we get into the games, talk about this Max Stadium. It's turf wicket. And we also have to remember even playoffs, will be on the turf wicket. And I think, that does put us a little bit of a disadvantage, being, I think, in the north. We don't have many, turf wickets, proper turf wickets. So, considering we have these 2 games and we do have some coming games, Atlanta that will be on turf wicket, I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But what do you guys think about this Max Stadium and kind of even just, in terms of the team, will it be a little bit of a struggle in the beginning? Kaushal, if you want to add.
I don't know. It's a tough question, but just to be realistic, most of our players have played a lot. I mean, I used to playing a lot of games on AstroTurf here. And in terms of preparation, I know they've had some preparation. Like they had some preparation in playing on turf wickets, but not at the same level as what ideally you want to be. I mean, they all want to, but it's just a function of the prevailing circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's going to be slightly tough, not very tough for the professional players to adjust because they've played on turf, they played, at a higher level on turf, performed under pressure and all that. But for the local talent, it's going to be an adjustment. I would just call it's going to be an adjustment that they have to make really quickly in order to succeed. They have done it in the past. There's no doubt about their talent. It's an adjustment and the mindset that they have to quickly tune to in order to succeed. Because and I did some research on that stadium. The turf played really well. There was a tournament at the end of May, I think, the T10 National Championship. The turf played really well based on the evidence that we saw in a few games. And so if the turf plays well, if the wicket is true, has good bounce, is not powdery, like what we used to in some of the games or grounds that we have, then it's not going to be very much of an adjustment. But for the first few games, I do feel that there is going to be an adjustment required. Hopefully our professional players and the folks who have a lot of experience, they up their game and they make sure that the team goes to the team gets 2 Ws out of the games this weekend, and then everybody else gets used to and familiar to the conditions.
Yeah. And, Rikin, before I let you add, I've also noticed, the weather this week, it has been, raining a bit, especially on the ground. Luckily, Saturday does look good. So we'll see how the ground conditions are. I think the team should be checking out the ground tomorrow. But Rikin, what's your take with the Max Stadium?
Just one comment I wanted to add. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
As far as the team goes, I think we have good spinners, because that's been Rajat Bhai's mantra, and that's how they've used good, not good, high quality spinners. We got high quality spinners, left arm, leg, as well as off spinners. We have high quality spinners. It's the batting that I am a bit worried about. So we have good experience and good players who can hit. Hopefully they make the right adjustment and give the spinners enough, to bowl.
Definitely. Yep.
So I mean, I've never been to that particular stadium, but what I've heard about it is the ground is a little smaller than the one in Florida, the one in Fort Lauderdale. The pitch is nice and hard, so the ball comes onto the bat pretty nicely. So I expect high scoring games there. But I mean, weather is always a concern there. I mean, if just in case if it rains, then it softens up, and then you have a completely different ball game. The good thing about the team that DC Hawks has picked is all these players. I mean, they don't have that experience to play on turf wicket in WCL in this area. But all these players have traveled all over US. I mean, there are a lot of tournaments that have happened in US throughout the years, and all these players have been traveling all around. I mean, recently they had a tournament in LA. A lot of these players were there playing on turf wickets. Also in Houston, I think Adil takes a team there. A lot of these players have played there on turf wickets, so they've had that experience. So I think there would be that adjustment period, but I think our players would be able to adjust pretty well. I think in that first game, all the senior pro players, they would have to take the team along. I think, especially as Kaushal mentioned in the batting department, Ravi and Sunny's, they have to do good, and people around them have to just bat around them and hopefully give enough to the spinners. I think personally, turf wickets would suit more to our bowling attack, as Kaushal said, because we have quality spinners and they would be able to extract some. They would be able to extract some spin and bounce on those wickets. So I think it actually works in our favor, and I'm expecting 2 Ws out of this team in this coming 2 games.
Okay. Just look at the schedule and then go into the 2 games. So I just wanted to show you guys, right? We have the 2 schedules. And, the first weekend we're playing at Max Stadium. And out of this, I believe, we have the Atlantic Cricket Fields that'll be turf. And maybe one of the other grounds that will also, be turf. But that's just, showing out our schedule. But now our first game, right? So DC Hawks versus the Florida Beamers. who are going to be the standout players? So Kaushal, if you want to add out, for the Hawks as well as the Beamers, who will be the ones, that are going to be favorable for the first match?
I mean, we have so many superstars in our team. Obviously, you have Lada and you have Dane Pete, international quality players. But I want to pick somebody who has a lot of potential. And I rate them really high. Hopefully, they really pick up their game and they do really well this year and just keep building on. So I'm going to pick Ritwik. Hopefully, he gets a fair shot. He's had this advantage of continuously playing for the U19 teams, and then he also went for the camp, the senior cricket team camp. So he's been continuously playing on turf and on tougher conditions, in tougher conditions. So he's somebody I am really looking forward to this year to make a mark in minor league as a batsman. And I also feel Abdul Jabbar is another person whom I rate really high. And I sincerely hope he does really well for our team. On the opponent side, you have Monang Patel, I think known commodity, fantastic player, done so well for the US national team. There's also Rajesh Sharma is another person. I think these are some of the known faces. I don't know too many of the other people, but these two players, I would certainly look out to the matchup between Monang and our spinners, right? And the matchup between our batsman and Rajesh Sharma. Those are going to be the key matchups for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, especially Monang, one of their batsmen being a key batsman. I mean, we know, he can take that innings on. So definitely seeing how our bowlers, bowl to him and try to get that early wicket, I think will be really good. And then Rikin, your standout players?
I would actually select the second Kaushal Bhai's opinion on that. I was actually looking forward to Ritwik and AJ also from the locals. Of course, Dane Pete and Ladda, they're going to come in handy because of the turf wicket and their experience that they have behind them. But other than that, I also am looking forward to how Gaurav is going to perform. He is going through a lean phase as of now in past couple of seasons. So I'm really looking forward to see how he picks up his game, and I'm expecting him to score a lot of runs in this upcoming minor league season. As far as the Florida Beamers goes, Monank and Rajesh Sharma are two of the known faces, as Kaushal Bhai said, and everybody is looking towards them and expect good things from them. But other than that, I've also had an opportunity to play with Parikh Patel, who's quite a young guy, good leg spinner. So I'm hoping good things from him. He might create some roadblocks for us. So our batsmen have to be really careful about him. And also Swaril Parikh. I mean, he is a nifty fast bowler. He doesn't have that much pace, but he moves the ball quite nicely with when he's bowling that first spell with the new ball. So those are the two players that I think that might create some hiccups for DC Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even looking at last year's exhibition games, in terms of the batting, right? We had Adil who scored back-to-back, half centuries. And then Gaurav also had that one, half centuries. We're going to hope, yes, this season, Gaurav clicks. I know the past couple of tournaments, has been a bit rough for him, but hopefully, especially with the minor league starting and with the DC Hawks, everything falls in place. Now,
I'm confident he's going to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second game is against the New England Eagles. So I think for this game, the players will have been accustomed, to the pitch, the ground itself, right? They'll have their first game, and this is going to be the first game of the season for the New England Eagles. So, we might have that, slight advantage of just knowing, the ground and everything and having played a game, but obviously it's another back-to-back game. So why don't we talk about this match and, your standout players. So Rikin, if you want to start off with this one.
You're correct. I mean, we might have that extra advantage of knowing the pitch and the ground better than them because it will be their first game. But the other thing that would be my concern is our guys will be playing two games on the same day while their players will be fresh. So I hope our players keep fresh. Keep fit. The fitness level of our players are pretty good nowadays. So hopefully they'll be able to play, and that wouldn't be too big of a concern. because in WCL also they're used to playing 2 games. And
I think most of, at least, on the DC Hawks side, most of these players have played in tournaments. I think everyone has, where they've played, honestly, 2 back-to-back games for a couple of days. Versus, this is just for the weekend. So yeah, I think hopefully, that won't be too much of a worry, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but the other thing is they are also flying in on Friday late at night, and then Saturday they are playing 2 games. So I mean that also plays a role because they might be tired because of the flight and stuff. But I think as professional players, we expect them to play. I mean, they should be fit enough to last 2 games. So hopefully that wouldn't be that big of a challenge. But in New England Eagles, I don't know most of the guys. I mean, Akshay Homraj, I've seen him play, and he's a fantastic batsman as well as a keeper. So he's always a threat. Asad Fadadin, I mean, he's a West Indies international player. So, I mean, those are the only 2 people that I know in the squad. I haven't had an opportunity.
And, the other thing to keep in mind, right, their marquee players, hadn't been mentioned, so we might come across them.
Yeah, you never know who shows up.
Do you know who the marquee players are?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think it should be up once the squad, once the player profiles are all in. I'm not sure entirely who the players are, and there's also the free agent options. So I think, that's also going to, I think, throw an element of the surprise in matches as well, because, some of these free agents, you might not know who they are and stuff. Obviously everyone in minor league, would know, but in terms of when you're playing against them, you might not know until that playing 11 shows up. But yeah, I think it should be interesting. But Kaushal, if you have, I don't know if you have any changes for your DC, like for the Hawks, in terms of the player standouts for this game, but, add in for the Eagles.
Yeah, no, for the Eagles, based on what we've seen on TV and how we've seen the players play, amongst the Caribbean players, usually the Guyanese guys play spin bowling really well because they are just used to playing spin bowling. So both, I think, Asad and Akshay Humraj, I think they come from Guyana. So they are, I think Asad, like Rikin said, he's played for the West Indies. So he brings in a lot of experience. And Akshay Humraj is, I think, very fine youngster, young talent who's a wicketkeeper batsman. So those two guys are again my lookout players. Deron Davis, I think he's a left-arm orthodox spinner. He did probably play the Unity Cup, I believe. But yeah, these 3 guys are known players, and they are the standout players for me.
Yeah. No, I think especially when it comes to, local players, I think a lot of it, we'll get to see how
we'll get to know as the season progresses. That's how we get to know.
Yeah. Exactly. So I know you guys mentioned a little bit about your results, but before we end this pre-show, so what are you guys looking at in terms of this Saturday? Are they going to be some close games? Do you expect, the Hawks to win both or have a challenge with one of the matches? Rikin?
I would prefer. I would want Hawks to win both the games, but I think the Florida Beamers have a decent squad, so they would. And firstly, they would have that experience to play on that particular ground, so they have that added advantage of home field. So I think that is going to be a good game for us. But I would expect, looking at the squad, I think DC Hawks would win that game. And then the second game, I think it would be a little easier than the first game for us to win. That's my
and the Beamers, are already there. They've been there for a couple.
I mean, you never know with who's going to show up, right? They have couple of empty spots there, so I don't know who will show up. But as of the squad that I've seen now, it seems like the second game might be an easier one for us.
Yeah, but the Beamers, as you mentioned, are already there, so they're, getting accustomed to the ground. So obviously they'll have that slight home advantage. So hopefully that becomes a good game. But Kaushal, if you want to add in.
Yeah, I agree. The first game might be close for us, but I think our team is going to win the first game just based on the quality of the squad. That's my pick. Second game is going to be, I feel we are just going to beat them like convincingly in the second game is my pick on the second game. Hopefully we are traveling with a few extra players because I know what Rikin said. It's very, because T20 is a very intense game. It may sound like 20 overs, blah, 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 but on a fast outfield, it takes a lot out of your players. Hopefully we are traveling with extra players and hopefully we don't have injury concerns at the end of the first game.
I think there are a
Yeah,
couple
no,
of injury
hopefully.
concerns already in Hawks. I think Clement is injured and Adil is also injured. Adil is not bowling as of now.
Yeah, so I guess, we'll see how, the players, feel fit and everything. And then I'm sure, everything will be adjusted for the two matches. But, obviously with the conditions, Florida, it's known to be hot and humid. And luckily for Saturday, as of now, it shows no rains. We're going to keep it that way. But with Florida, you always expect the unexpected. So we'll see how it works out on Saturday. But hopefully, Hawks get both of those wins in. It's going to be a great season. Obviously, it's just the start. But I want to thank you both for joining me.
Thank you, Roshni.
Yeah, thanks a lot for thanks a lot for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.